Most people think heart attacks announce themselves with chest pain or a dramatic collapse like you see in the movies, but after 20 years as a cardiac surgeon, I can tell you that the most dangerous cardiac events are the quiet ones that build slowly while you sleep. After the age of 60, your cardiovascular system shifts gears at night into a biological reset. But this system becomes less reliable as your blood vessels stiffen and your margin for error gets much smaller. The hours between midnight and 6 a.m. carry the highest risk of heart attack and stroke because your body is running on a skeleton crew, and your evening habits determine whether you are loading or unloading a gun. The first mistake I see is what I call the dehydration surge, which happens when you go to bed even mildly dehydrated. Many people over 60 deliberately limit how much they drink in the evening because they want to avoid waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to use the bathroom. While disrupted sleep is a frustration from a cardiovascular standpoint, this causes your blood to become more viscous, which is a medical way of saying it gets thicker. Thick blood moves slowly through already narrowed arteries and is much more prone to forming dangerous clots. During sleep, your heart rate naturally slows down, meaning blood moves more slowly through the system anyway. So combining that with thick blood creates a recipe for the early morning heart attacks I see in the recovery room. Your heart essentially has to generate an enormous amount of force just to push motor oil through a cold engine. The fix is genuinely simple. Drink a full 8-ounce glass of water before bed and another glass right when you wake up. That small amount ensures your blood isn't thickening unnecessarily during the quiet hours when you are most vulnerable. The second mistake involves the chemical insult of reheating specific leftover foods, particularly potatoes, for your morning meal. When you cook a potato, a chemical called acrylamide forms, which is a probable human carcinogen that your body detoxifies less efficiently after age 60. When you reheat that potato in a microwave the next morning, more acrylamide forms on top of what was already there, compounding your exposure. But for your heart, there is an even more immediate threat involving resistant starch. Freshly cooked potatoes that have been cooled contain this starch, which acts like fiber and keeps your blood sugar stable. When you reheat them, however, that resistant starch converts back into regular starch that digests almost instantly, causing a sharp insulin surge. Every time your insulin spikes, it signals your blood vessels to constrict and tighten, raising your blood pressure right there at the breakfast table. For someone over 60 with even mild insulin resistance, these repeated spikes cause oxidative stress in your vessel walls and accelerate arterial stiffening. If you have leftovers, the smartest move for your heart is to eat those potatoes cold in a salad with olive oil, which keeps the resistant starch intact and your vessels relaxed. The third mistake is cooking your morning eggs or browning your toast with the silent inflamers, refined seed oils like canola, soybean, sunflower, or corn oil. Most of the cooking oils on supermarket shelves are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, and while your body needs some, the average person today consumes 15 to 20 times more than is healthy. This extreme imbalance is the primary fuel for the chronic systemic inflammation that I dread seeing as a cardiac surgeon, because it quietly stiffens your arteries year after year. Furthermore, these refined oils are unstable at high heat. When you use them to fry your breakfast, they oxidize and break down into toxic compounds called aldehydes. These are the same toxic compounds found in cigarette smoke and are directly toxic to your blood vessel walls, where they accumulate and trigger oxidative stress. To protect your heart, you should walk to your cupboard today and replace these oils with extra virgin olive oil for light cooking or real grass-fed butter. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in oleocanthal, a natural anti-inflammatory that actively supports healthy blood vessel function. The fourth mistake is what I call the carbs first trap, which is simply reaching for the bread, oatmeal, or fruit as the very first bite of your breakfast. As a surgeon who has seen the results of inflammatory damage inside thousands of chests, I can tell you that the order in which you eat your food determines your blood pressure's reaction. When you eat carbohydrates first, your blood sugar spikes sharply, leading to an insulin surge that squeezes your blood vessels tight. But if you eat your vegetables first, the fiber forms a kind of mesh or physical barrier in your stomach. This barrier dramatically slows down how fast sugar from the rest of your meal enters your bloodstream, blunting the insulin spike and keeping your vessels open. I have had patients who changed nothing about their diet, same food and same portions, but simply ate their vegetables first, and their post-meal blood pressure readings dropped noticeably within 2 weeks. Protecting your vessel lining from these repeated insulin surges is one of the simplest and kindest things you can do for your heart. The fifth mistake is dismissing snoring as just an annoyance rather than a cardiac warning sign. It is estimated that over 30% of older adults have some form of sleep apnea, where they stop breathing dozens of times every single hour. Every time your oxygen level drops, your brain registers a crisis and fires off a massive stress response of adrenaline and cortisol. This causes your heart to jolt awake, with a sudden violent spike in heart rate and blood pressure while the rest of you is still trying to sleep. This nocturnal cycle is directly associated with a 3 times higher risk of heart attack and irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation. If you wake up with a headache, feel exhausted even after a full night's sleep, or have a dry mouth, you must take it seriously. While you wait for a formal evaluation, try sleeping on your side instead of your back, as back sleeping dramatically worsens airway obstruction. Additionally, keep your bedroom temperature between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius, 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, as a room that is too cold causes your vessels to tighten and your heart to push against more resistance. The sixth mistake involves the timing of your medication. If you take your blood pressure medication only in the morning, it may be wearing off exactly when your heart is most vulnerable during the night. In a healthy body, blood pressure should dip 10 to 20% at night to give the heart a rest. But many people over 60 suffer from nocturnal hypertension, where the pressure stays high or even surges at 3 a.m. A pressure surge in the middle of the night hits the arterial walls when they are not braced for impact, making it much more likely to rupture a plaque or trigger a clot. Evidence from the hydrochronotherapy trial suggests that for many patients, evening dosing of medication significantly reduces the risk of a major cardiovascular event during sleep. You should never change your schedule on your own, but you should ask your doctor specifically if evening dosing would be a safer option for your heart. Finally, the seventh mistake is forgetting to use natural vasodilators that help your arteries relax and open up. One of the most powerful tools in your kitchen is hibiscus tea, which contains anthocyanins that act on your vessels in a way that is strikingly similar to ACE inhibitors, a common class of blood pressure drugs. These compounds block an enzyme that causes your blood vessels to constrict, and drinking 3 cups a day has been shown to reduce systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points. Another simple addition is apple cider vinegar. Adding 1 to 2 tablespoons to a glass of water with your meal improves insulin sensitivity and stimulates the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is your body's natural signal to its arteries to relax and expand, essentially doing what many medications try to do naturally. Another gentle signal to your cardiovascular system is eating about 30 grams of walnuts 30 minutes before bed, as they contain omega-3s and L-arginine that support the natural nighttime pressure drop your body is supposed to have. I have stood at the operating table at 3 o'clock in the morning holding a heart that stopped because of a clot that formed overnight, and I've had to speak to families at dawn who had no idea anything was wrong when they said goodnight. In case after case, the contributing factors weren't mysterious. They were the background noise of ordinary habits like a late dinner, thick blood from dehydration, or a morning routine full of inflammatory oils. Your body after 60 has a smaller margin for error, but its capacity to heal is still genuinely remarkable if you provide the right environment. The most powerful interventions are almost never the most complicated. Your body isn't looking for complexity, it's looking for the right conditions to repair itself. I challenge you to pick just one of these changes to start tomorrow morning. Maybe it's just that first glass of water or switching your cooking oil. Sustainable change comes from one small decision repeated until it simply becomes the way you live. Take care of your heart. It has been working for you every single minute of your life without asking for anything in return, and it deserves your protection. Everything I've shared is general information based on clinical research and my experience, but it is not a replacement for your personal medical care. So please always consult with your physician before making changes to your medication.